training partners. Here come your training partners. So smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners.
Welcome to Training Partners, where two fitness professionals bring you strong takes held loosely. I'm Weezy Shoemaker, and I'm joined today by none other than Justin McClintock. And today, it is my understanding that we will be bringing you a strong take that somebody brought to us and wanted us to talk about.
Yeah, this is by request, which is, by the way, like we're taking. It's not the first request we've gotten. I don't know about. We've talked about some of them, but on a a semi-regular basis, the crew, shall we call them, writes in and says, "I'd love to hear you talk about this or weigh in on this, or what are your thoughts on this?" And if it sounds like a good idea, we either put it in the queue or discard it as maybe not great podcast material and something we just want to talk about or whatever. But this came up fairly recently, and we were both super interested to talk about it. So I think, do you want to just dig into it? I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to go from that into but before we do, how's your week, Justin?
Yeah. And we've been talking a lot. There's a lot going on. I'm caught up with you and you're caught up with me. And that's all I really care about. Everyone else is going to have to check in and monitor, especially because this is 5 weeks ago if you're listening to this.
So team, if you're listening to this episode, you're like, but wait, what is happening in your world that was 5 to 7 weeks ago? How could you not fill us in? Just slide into the DMs and we'll tell you what has transpired.
Yeah. I'll say, what? 5 weeks ago? I don't know. Who was I even then? I don't know. So the question as it was brought more or less was someone who had noticed at several CrossFit gyms in their area, specifically CrossFit gyms, they've added a full-time physical therapist in their space. So an on-site PT is now there. I've seen this at a bunch of usually CrossFit gyms for a number of years. It's certainly a growing trend. And the question was the question asker was deliberately withheld their thoughts and feelings so as not to put a thumb on the scale, I suspect, but wanted to know what we thought.
That's correct.
I had a ton of fun getting ready for this episode because I had kind of an initial response of well, I think I know how I feel about this. And it's a little bit snarky and a little bit mean. And then in getting ready for it, I reached out to several physical therapists I know who had kind of a wide range of opinions, which surprised me a little bit, and added a bunch of nuance. And I think where I ended up at is roughly the same answer, but for a very different reason.
Ooh, we love context.
So the question as was put to us was sort of I think the question was, is this a good thing? And I say that because I think it's kind of the question that's actually being asked, I think is really important.
Correct.
By which I mean, I'm not trying to be too cutesy here. Is the question, is it good to have physical therapists on site at a CrossFit gym? Or is the question, is it a good thing that CrossFit gyms need to have physical therapists on site?
Right. I mean, the difference between those two questions, right.
Completely different, right? And I was trying to think of analogies, and I came up with a couple, and neither of them are great. But it's easy to take one side of it, which might be, if a gym needs to have a PT on site, then it's obviously super dangerous, and people are getting hurt all the time. And it reminded me of a chicken joint near a place I used to live in Washington Heights, New York. And I walked in after a relatively long night. I'd been out too late doing too much stuff with too many people. And I walked in and there was an armed security guard and multiple layers of bulletproof glass to get to the person I would order from. And I thought, oh, you know what? They wouldn't have these if bad stuff didn't happen. Chicken sounds really good, but maybe I should go somewhere else. These might be signs that this is a dangerous place for me to be. And even though I want the chicken, it might not be worth hanging out as long as I need to hang out here.
I think that's a beautiful analogy because of I mean, the storefront and the next door neighbors and the bars on the windows, whether you like it or not, leaves an impression about your setup.
Completely. It's whether or not it's true, right? It could be an incredibly paranoid franchisee who lives in Oklahoma and has heard bad things about New York. Is like, well, we're going to need armed guards and all these other things. Like, it might be completely ridiculous, but all signs point to, actually, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm about to overstay my welcome. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Sort of the opposite side of it could be, all gyms have injuries. Injuries happen in every single kind of gym that there is. Having an expert on hand, especially an expert who also understands exactly what happens in that gym, and therefore is probably more likely to bring the person where they want to go and get them back to being an active member of that gym, and not tell them to not squat, and not tell them that, oh, you probably just need injections and surgery. That might be more like a boat having enough life jackets on board for everyone. It
Right.
won't come up for most people. It might never come up. But if it does, it's going to be a real game changer to how this incident goes. If something happens
Right.
and you have the thing there that is going to make that incident a lot easier to deal with, that's great.
Right. I'm really interested to see where this goes, because I have some completely untouched thoughts
Bring
about
it. What do you got?
this.
This is not a
So-
lecture series. This is a conversation.
But Justin, I want you to talk at me for 45 minutes, because that's all I have brain space for. This brings up kind of like a tertiary question for me, which is related to like the ethics of group fitness at large.
Mhm.
Right. And okay, if we need to have somebody here, like, yes, this person might be a huge benefit, and they might be more likely to lead us down a path that we'd want to go. Right. Because to your point, an active life is likely going to come with some speed bumps. Right. We really can't avoid that, even with the greatest of programs and the greatest of intentions and the greatest of coaching and the greatest of adherence. Some shit's going to get shaken up from time to time. That's just a part of having an active lifestyle. And what this brings up for me is a lot of feelings about group fitness kind of consistently trying to be everything for everyone.
Yeah.
And if I need to have somebody here tailoring lots of things for me, could it be that in fact I'm not served by group fitness?
Right.
And it just brings up this whole other, like, okay, well, if everybody in the gym has to consult with this person to get custom recommendations, are we ready to have the conversation that group fitness is perfect for no one?
Yes, exactly. And which sort of leads down the gym business model conversation also, right? Because a vanishingly small percentage of the gym owners are bringing a PT on site because they're benevolent. They're not,
Right.
they're getting something out of it for the most part. I have seen situations where the PT basically got like free space and the owner thought it was valuable enough to have them there. Or maybe the PT was like just getting their business started and it was kind of a favor, but they were there and working with members and making money and things like that. Most of the
Right.
time, there's a revenue split or rent or some fairly straightforward trade they're going to be. And some of it might be service trade. Maybe every single new member gets a, 20-minute evaluation with a, board licensed physical therapist. That's kind of a cool selling point. I could see gyms running with that, especially for, a modality like CrossFit, which certainly has a reputation for potentially being dangerous, right?
Right. Yeah. No, gym owners are generally not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. There's probably some sort of B2B exchange of money or service for space.
Yeah, which is I'm also fine with.
Yeah,
like both
great.
of us have happily worked in situations where we were paying a gym owner money so we could offer our services on site, and we saw ourselves as valuable members of the community, and we're excited to be there, and weren't just leeching money or trying to steal members or things like that. Like
Yeah.
having similar services coexist at the same time is potentially fine. I mentioned I talked to a couple of physical therapists, and two responses I got back were similar in some ways, but also very different. And I think kind of elucidate the point that I ended up at, if that makes sense. So I talked to a couple of physical therapists, and I got two different responses that sort of stuck out. They're both from physical therapists. Both of these people like CrossFit generally. They've done a bunch of CrossFit. They've worked with a bunch of CrossFitters. I would not call them anti-CrossFit. Maybe one slightly more pro-CrossFit than the other. But I thought the perspectives were interesting, especially as people who make their money doing this. Like both of them overwhelmingly make their money doing one-on-one work of physical therapy, and both of them do like physical therapy that veers into a lot of coaching. Like the kind of work you and I do has a bunch of overlap with the kind of work they do. One of them sees it as overwhelmingly positive and an amazing evolution of CrossFit. They were around when they were going through like the CrossFit Journal, looking for articles on how to deal with injuries. And there was nothing until Kelly Starrett started writing them.
Yeah.
Then people were like, oh, we should care about flexibility and mobility. Oh, like if someone is hurt and sore, it's not just go on a 400-meter run and tell me how it feels after that, but we're going to deal with this specifically. And the evolution of CrossFit side by side with, and this is generally true, like people are still joining CrossFit gyms, but most of the people doing CrossFit have been doing CrossFit for a while. It's become a little bit of a legacy thing where it's not the new cool thing that people are rushing out to try. Like lots of people who do CrossFit have been doing CrossFit for at least 3 years, and a bunch of them for significantly more than that. So the CrossFitting population is aging and also getting a lot more miles on them. Like they have 5, 10, 15 years in some case of CrossFitting, which is hard work. They're really consistent. They're getting, way more, swings at the plate, at bats than most exercisers, certainly more than most people. They're going to be more banged up. Having someone who deeply understands this on site and is ready to deal with them is ideal. And that PT also sent me 3 different studies, only one of which I had seen before. I knew one study, but 3 different studies comparing injury rates in CrossFit to injury rates of generally other recreational exercisers. I think one was running specifically. One was actually Army PT, and one was recreational exercisers, kind of hit weightlifters kind of thing. All of them showed that the rates of injury were basically the same or slightly less for CrossFitters. There was a thing that stuck out where CrossFitters tended to have significantly more of one particular kind of injury, and you get $0 for guessing which joint takes the most wear and tear in CrossFitters.
Yeah, I'm confident that it's like rotator cuff injuries.
Yeah, it's all shoulder stuff. Like 25+% of CrossFit injuries on all 3 studies were shoulder stuff. And wouldn't it be great if like recreational runners and people who get hurt doing HIIT and people who get hurt powerlifting also had it baked into their culture that, oh, this isn't feeling good. I should see an expert about this sooner rather than later. Having an expert on site, like, oh, that hurts. Why don't you walk next door and knock on Dr. So-and-so's door and see if you can make an appointment? You don't have to most of these are cash referrals, obviously. Some people have like super bill setups and other insurance things, but the fact that it's there is useful.
Totally. It's convenient. And it is.
It's convenient, which also makes it way more likely to happen, right? We know this is the case with people going to gyms. You're opening a gym as we speak. Someone who lives 25 miles away probably isn't coming. You might get 1 or 2 people from far afield, but the fact that it's easy enough to get to is one of the things that moves you up people's lists. If the PT, the expert, is already in the place where you're coming 3 to 5 days a week, it's much more likely that you'll take advantage of that than if you have to make an appointment and drive to another place and take half a day off of work and do all this other stuff to possibly do stuff that you're less satisfied with. And maybe you don't believe that this other person knows what your CrossFit exercising life is like. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, from my experience with more traditional, like insurance-based PT, um, they've not been super supportive of conservative treatment, management, um, weightlifting, high intensity interval training, high impact stuff for people who have stuff, right? And so if I'm thinking about this from I really value my active lifestyle, I like being able to do the things that I like being able to do. I don't necessarily want somebody to poo poo it. And hey, my shoulder hurts. And I know that there's conservative ways to manage this that don't include injections, that don't include banded PT exercises 3 times a week for the rest of my life, that don't include chiropractic twice a week, that don't include injection, surgery, insert a dozen other things that kind of the mainstream medical industrial complex will throw at acute pain. Why would I drive out of my way to pursue that care that I'm skeptical of is even going to meet me where I am or be able to get me where I want to go?
Yeah. And maybe give you homework that you don't even believe in, so you're probably not going to
Right.
follow through. And now you're getting in the way of the solution working as well as it could, to whatever degree that might be in the first place.
Right. What I think feels maybe nefarious, and I don't know anybody particularly who fits into this bubble, but if I owned a gym community where people were kind of perpetually getting injured, and I, as a gym owner, said, I need to do something about this, I need a PT on site, rather than looking at, okay, what must be true about either my programming or our emphasis on recovery or the caliber of my coaching staff or 10 other variables that might be contributing to the injury rate being higher at my gym. Bring in PT
Yeah.
feels like a really icky, gross solution to that to me. And that is what I would have a problem with.
Yeah. And there's an underlying, I think runs parallel to the question that we're talking about right now, but is really important, that the kind of quality of the CrossFit, so quality of the programming, quality of the culture, quality of the coaching, quality of the implementation, all of that stuff, that's going to matter a lot. Because if you're having people, if 20% of people get hurt over their lifetime of doing stuff, that's kind of normal. That's just how people
Yeah.
get hurt doing active stuff all the time. No one wants people to get hurt, but it happens. If you're
Right.
having, 60% of people in a given year have an injury that takes them out of exercising, your rate's too high. And it might be
Yeah.
programming, it might be coaching, it might be you're taking people's money who shouldn't be there in the first place. It could be all three.
Yeah.
Also, kind of the quote unquote quality of the physical therapist. I have been in CrossFit gyms where the physical therapist deeply understood CrossFit, was down with people's goals of like, no, I want to get back to snatching for time. That's important to me. It's my hobby. It's what I like. Don't tell
Yeah.
me not to do that or I'm going to go somewhere else. Okay, well, if it's safe to do that, we're going to assess you. And if that's reasonable, then we'll make that one of the goals. I've also been in CrossFit gyms where the physical therapist, almost 100% of their treatment involved using massage gun on people. Yeah.
Oh.
And both of these people are physical therapists working at a CrossFit gym. So, yeah, like your mileage in
Oh.
months. Another response I got from a different physical therapist who also like knows and gets CrossFit. I said, what do you think about this? And their first response was kind of what we were just talking about, is that it's a safety mechanism for the gym. So people who get hurt or keep getting hurt, who would usually quit, who would otherwise quit, have a place
Right.
to go, have a thing that keeps them in that gym. They can keep going. They're much more likely to get back into class, to either keep paying or start paying again their memberships. If you
Mm-hmm.
keep them there, if you lose them, they're unlikely to come back. Maybe a little bit of a draw for people who aren't doing CrossFit. Maybe like a people who have like hit that stage of life where they are having more surgeries and they need more post-surgical care.
Mm-hmm.
They're having strokes. They're doing things like that. But it also really highlights, and this is kind of where I ended up, how inept most CrossFit gyms are at providing a real solution. Because
Yeah.
physical therapists working in a CrossFit gym, the vast majority, the most common problems they're solving could be solved within scope by educated, capable, competent coaches.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. And coaches being maybe not even unable or unwilling or unqualified to, but not compensated appropriately to meet people where they are. Right? Like
Yes.
if I'm making $23 a class, no, I don't have the time, energy, or incentive to support Steve, who keeps blowing out his knees every time we run. Right? Like I don't, even if I have the qualifications for it, even if I were to say, "Hey Steve, I can help you with this. Here's a handful of exercises. I need you to do them twice a week for the next 6 months." I don't have the capacity or compensation to really do well by him within the scope of my job as a CrossFit coach.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not set up to do that, right? It's not
No,
the
they're
business
not.
model. Like, overwhelmingly, even with like one-on-one training, the vast majority of CrossFit gyms I've been in, one-on-one training is a thing they say, but pretty much never do. Like, oh yeah, we do
Mm,
one-on-one training, and that's also sort of a thing they can wave at their coaches and say, oh no, here's a way you could make all the money you want. Like, we'll only take 30% or 40%. You can, as many clients as you
mhm.
want to train, you can train. And they certainly don't like teach them how to do that or create space to do that or advertise it, or
Right.
it's not,
Sure.
I don't know that it's entirely genuine. So we run into this thing where, well, actually, good coaches could do most of the work, certainly solve the most common problems that physical therapists and CrossFit gyms are solving. That's kind of where I am. Given the fact that the vast majority of CrossFit coaches, for various reasons, can't solve those problems. Many are unable. Many don't have the education. Those that do have the education have neither the time nor financial incentive to do so. Not that they won't do it until they hit X money. There's only so many hours in the day. They need to make
Right.
X amount of money. I can't go spend 3 hours writing a program for John if I'm not going to get paid for any of that time and still get the 23
Right.
bucks an hour for doing
Well,
group classes.
let's interject here. You can until you can't. Right? Like
Yes.
as a new coach, I did a lot out of, and this is
Oh
not
yeah.
me like tooting my own horn, but did a lot out of just my, I love doing this and I want people to feel better and I genuinely care about them. And from experience, myself and many people I know who have done this run themselves into a fucking brick wall and wonder how can anybody make this work long term? I love this and I would do it for free if I could, but I have bills and people who rely on me and I have my own professional boundaries. How do I keep doing this?
Yeah. When you're coaching 6 classes a day and then staying 30 to 60 minutes after several of those classes to try and help people solve problems that they aren't having solved within those four walls currently.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And I think this has gotten better um over the last couple of years, but for a while it was like, well, yeah, you're paid to be here. So like, yeah, you can just talk to me about this thing. I was like,
yeah,
yeah, I paid to coach class.
right. And,
Uh-uh.
and even that framing is so unfair because if we could solve your problem in 5 minutes, don't you think I would?
Yeah.
If I could say, talk to you for 2 minutes and demonstrate 2 exercises, and that would radically change your life, don't you think I would do that? Because you would go tell everyone how goddamn incredible I am.
Right.
And my door would never be quiet, but for all of the knocking, because people are trying to come through it. Of course I would do that. But the question of, you're paid to be here so you can solve my problems, some of that is, I understand where that comes from. It's just a misunderstanding of what it takes to solve those problems. And
Right.
because of that, how it needs more time, space, effort, incentive, etc.
Right. I mean, it's a similar concept to therapy. Hey, I'm having this problematic thought or behavior or recurring trauma. I'll just go to therapy the one time and that'll
Yeah.
do it.
That's the equivalent of my hip hurts. Can you show me some stretches? Like, well, so yes, I can show you some stretches, and
And that's
it,
unlikely to solve your problem.
it might feel great today. I mean, you might find one where you're like, this is what I've been looking for. This is perfect. But in 2
Right.
weeks, you're going to need more. You're going to need the next progression of that stretch, which is probably adding load or resistance or tempo or all three. And we aren't going to be there. Or you're going to come back and say, hey, that stretch isn't working anymore. I need the next thing. And I'll say, okay, I guess I would probably do this next. And then 2 weeks later, you'll come back and do the same thing. And now I'm going to start getting really annoyed because what you need is a
Right.
goddamn individual program. And I'm starting to become aware that I'm getting taken advantage of.
Right. And I want to be clear here that if we can help people without taking their money and it is a quick transaction, we are very, very happy to do that. Right.
All day
Like DMs are open for that. And we will be really honest if, oh, yeah, you just need to be sleeping more. Like you're doing all the right things and you're sleeping 5 hours a night. We need better rest. Right. Or
I had this conversation yesterday in the DMs with someone who I don't know, like kind of out of nowhere, runner in the UK. It's like, yeah, I'm having this. It was either a knee or an Achilles thing. And we're like, okay. And we went through what they were doing and what their load was and what their plan was and how things were feeling and what happened and when it came up. And the end of the conversation was, her name was Helen. Helen, you're killing it. You're crushing. Do this. Everything you've told me, none of it is alarm bells. I understand why you're concerned given your past history. Make sure, you don't radically amplify your load from week to week. Don't go from 30 miles to 70 miles. But the plan you just told me is an awesome plan. I wouldn't take your money if you sent it to me right now. It's perfect. You're killing it. High five.
Yeah. Yeah. There was somebody not too terribly long ago who I play pickleball with who was starting to have some hip pain. And I was happy to just take her through an assessment right there. Like, hey, do you have like 15 minutes? Let's just take a look at how your body moves and I'll be able to give you some more information. And it came up through the act of 15 minutes of just seeing how her body moves and what she has access to, that she had pinchy hips and she went from playing no pickleball to like 18 hours a week.
Jesus.
And not, so she was somebody who started playing, fell in love with it, got really good really fast, and then was like,
Made
great,
her
this is now,
part-time jobs.
right, this is now all I want to do. And so my recommendation to her was banded hip distractions, which we did right then. And she was like, this feels incredible. And then I said, we need to be really intentional of how we're adding pickleball. And so like, hey, you're telling me that you've already played almost 8 hours today. You probably need to take tomorrow off.
Yeah.
And it would serve you if you could add in some strength training that like gets you capable to play pickleball well. I understand
Especially
that you, right. Yeah.
if this is a thing you really love and you want to do it for years, we need to intervene right now.
Right. And said, happy to support you with that, but I really honestly don't think you need a custom program at this point. If you're having a hard time finding strength training that you like here, because this was in a corporate gym environment, come talk to me and I'll point you in the direction of a template program that I really like. And that was several months ago, completely out of hip pain, playing all the time and strength training 2 or 3 times a week now. So it's like, okay, great. Like, if it's that easy, beautiful. We love that. I love if I could help everybody, I would do it. And there are people who need actual individual support. And sometimes I'm the best person for the job. And a lot of the time I'm not.
Yep.
Right. It's our job as ethical coaches to enroll only and exactly the people who would benefit from only and exactly the things that we do.
Yeah, 100%. Which I think also to some degree points back to this CrossFit discussion of, you know, I think a lot of the issue, blame, the 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 murkiness of the problem lies on the shoulders of the CrossFit gyms, be it the owners, whoever's running it and getting people in there. There are people who probably shouldn't do CrossFit. And I know CrossFit says that they can, like, I forget, like they're basically for everybody. They can scale and modify. There's no one on the planet who can't do a CrossFit gym. We know that in practice doesn't hold up, right? If 4 people with MS come down the stairs and they all want to join the gym at the same time, that would just level most coaching staffs and most classes. They wouldn't be able to deal with it. Lots of gyms have the one outlier, the one 85-year-old, or the one person who lost 100 pounds, or the one person who's significantly disabled, but they don't have 30 of them.
Right. But then what bothers me about that, not to interrupt you, is that then that person is used as a poster board for, see, this is for everybody.
When they're an incredible outlier. They're incredible.
Yeah.
And they're
incredible.
A significant outlier. Most people are 27 to 36 and were in pretty good shape before they showed up. So I think where I come down on this, PTs and CrossFit gyms, is it's a really good idea for most of the members in CrossFit gyms to have kind of CrossFit informed physical therapists on hand and on site, ready to work with them, ready to help solve problems, smart at assessments. The fact that that's true is a little bit of a damning indictment of how weak the coaching, education, competence, staffing, etc., is at the majority of CrossFit gyms.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that completely. And to somebody listening to this who's kind of like poo-pooing the whole premise, particularly if you're a coach and are feeling like kind of indicted by this, I would encourage you to think about how difficult a group class would be if you had more than, let's say, 3 or 4 super complex athletes in class.
Yeah, completely. Especially class sizes at some gyms have gotten a little more reasonable. But if you have, a 15-person plus class and you have 5 people who need the whole thing redone, they can't do anything on the board, not even close to it, but they want to play along, that's really hard. That's sitting down and writing programs for 6 to 8 minutes at least, if you're really good at this stuff, and probably a lot longer. Yeah, it's really hard. And so I think the PTs are good in the short term, but especially if you're a coach, ideally if you're an owner, but especially if you're a coach and you see that happening, I would encourage you to explore. And a lot of physical therapists are happy to have this conversation with you and even show you stuff. Like, what can I be doing? I know there's things you do that I can't do, right? I'm not licensed. I don't want to put hands on people. I'm not going to try and dry needle people. I'm not going to start cupping people in the back corner. I absolutely walked into a class once and found one member cupping other members, like back in the weightlifting area, and lost my goddamn mind. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, I bought my own cups. And so I'm doing it. And cupping's a whole different discussion. I think cupping is overwhelmingly bullshit, but it's still a quote unquote medical procedure that I can't just have people doing to each other. It's like, no. We're also not going to inject each other insulin.
For the video feed.
Yeah. It does nothing. It has never been shown to do anything. There's certainly no involved. It has been well studied. It is a lovely placebo. The marks are a significant part of the placebo. Look, I
feel really cool because I have an octopus kiss on my chest that alleviates tightness.
Does it?
And relieves the fascia.
I believe you. I believe you that it feels better, and that's great. And to be clear, like, People can do whatever they want. Like,
Right.
as long as it's, safe and you're not being taken advantage of in some way, great.
And you have appropriate credentials and liability coverage
Well,
for it.
kind of. But I mean, if it's, we've said this before. I've said this before, like, it's okay to do things because they feel good. That's a perfectly reasonable. You don't need a
Right.
ton of studies backing you up. Like, no, it's when I do this stretch, it always makes my hips feel good. I don't need to be able to diagram how that might be working or what the mechanism is, or have some YouTube asshole tell me that actually that stretch doesn't work what you think it works. You should try these 3 stretches that are better. Like, shut the fuck up. This feels good. Leave me alone. And to everyone who loves cupping, just I'm hearing you say it now. It's already been done. You don't have to send the DM. Justin, shut the fuck up. It feels good. Leave me alone. Heard. Solid. Great. It mechanistically, physiologically, it's horseshit. And there's practitioners I know, trust, and love who use it with people. And they soft agree with me, and people feel so much better after they do it. That's a good enough reason to do it. I'm going to do these things that are really uncomfortable for people and put them in positions and make them do stuff they really don't want to do. And that's where a lot of the work is. And yeah, sometimes I do things that just make people feel good at the end, and they walk out feeling great, having done a lot of good work. I'm down with that. I have absolutely put, death by bicep curl at the end of a bro's workout because I was going to make him do a bunch of like miserable tendon nerve glide stuff leading up to it.
Yeah. I like that. It's you're allowed to do things that feel good or that stroke your ego, so long as it's not harming yourself or somebody else.
Yeah, and as long as it's not getting in the way of where you actually allegedly want to progress. If it is sapping your capacity to pursue the goals that you've declared most important to you, it probably needs re-examining. But if it's not, great, green light, full sail. So what's happening right now, listeners, is Weezy is frozen. Her internet is frozen. This has happened a couple of times. I don't know how many times we're going to leave it in the edit, but I'm just talking to you now, wondering when she's going to come back.
I'm back.
See, this will be fun. So we've been recording for about 45 minutes. I bet we have 20 minutes of episode.
Oh boy. Fun.
All right.
Fun. We've had so many technical difficulties this episode.
It has been a weird one. We started late.
One.
My mic is still kind of broken. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I'm just seeing my screen grab of me re-entering the studio. That's hilarious.
Yep. Oh, there you go.
I think it's also important to say that I have many folks in my referral network who are PTs who work at or adjacent to a CrossFit facility.
Yeah,
and the ones who I respect the most are the ones who are collaborating with the coaching staff and who are seeing people, not just group athletes, and who are facilitating real and true rehabilitation and not pushing everybody back into the group class environment. Right? Because there are legitimately people who are not served by that. And I think that that's a huge testament to those gym owners as well, is not seeing that as a threat when, hey, the PT who's renting space either from or next to me says, hey, I actually don't believe that this meets you where you are and gets you closer to where you want to go. And so I'm recommending that you do this other thing. And the gym owner doesn't freak out. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if they're a bad fit, it's not going to be good for your community. It's not going to be good for your coaching staff. It's not even going to be good for that person. It's such a short-sighted, like, well, but I want their $180 a month. Like, that moves the needle in meaningful ways for me. It's so short-sighted because there's no way in which that ends well, because certainly that person knows other people who could be met where they are as well. And if CrossFit doesn't get them there, they're going to say, yeah, I tried this thing and it's not for me. And maybe that's where they decide to end their relationship with fitness. What a heartbreak.
Yeah, that's the thing. For the kind of person you're describing, So lots of people, let's say there's a great PT attached to a CrossFit gym, at over the lifetime of training, 20% of members will take advantage of that, which is not crazy unreasonable. Most of those people need, maybe a little manual work, probably a short kind of rehab program, like 2 to 4 weeks. Do this stuff and avoid this stuff, and you'll be good as gold. That's going to be enough for most people. And then there will be some people who, when the PT does an assessment and a consult, who become glaringly obvious that this person actually doesn't belong doing most of what happens in a CrossFit gym and would be really well served by something very different. And that can be a really hard discussion. I've had a couple of people, not most, but a couple of people who came to me doing CrossFit because they were banged up. And as we progressed, I had to have the conversation of, hey, I think CrossFit might be a really bad idea for you. And I know you love it, and I know you love this specific place, and I know you love your 6 a.m. class, and I know you love these people, and all of that is true, and I believe you. This is hard to say, but for these reasons, at least anytime soon, I find it hard to believe that it's going to be a good idea. We might need to take, 6 to 12 months to do some really deep work that would even consider the idea of you going back there to be something I could, ethically suggest.
Right. And some of my favorite PTs, I'm thinking of a handful of specific practice that I won't call out because that would be favoritism, but they do exactly that. Right. And they are more interested in the best outcome for the person in front of them than for the best outcome for the PT clinic or the gym. And looking at things with that mindset is actually so far better to their benefit than looking at things that, well, what will the gym owner say if I tell them they can't do CrossFit? It helps nobody in the long term.
It helps nobody. It feels bad. It leads to fear and paranoia and acting out of a scarcity mentality and doing things that maybe don't exactly align with your values because you're paranoid and scared. The other side, which I think you do a very good job of, and a lot of people that we associate ourselves with do a very good job of, is it's so liberating because you just do the right thing. And when you do the right thing, it works out most of the time pretty well. And the right thing might be, no, you don't need to work with me at all, like some people we discussed earlier. Or it might be, you should probably work with me for 6 weeks. Or it might be, you should probably work with me until we both get sick of each other. And then I don't know what you're going to do because I'm just going to send you to Weezy or like one of 5 other people who I know have the breadth and depth of experience, knowledge, capability, empathy to give you what you need. And also part of this is being willing to have those difficult conversations, being willing to tell people things that they don't want to hear, being willing to ask questions that you don't know where it's going to go and might become very vulnerable and might lead to really challenging interactions. Being willing to do that because it's the right thing to do is liberating, will set you apart. And the more you do it, you start seeing them more and more as incredible opportunities and less as the scary dark woods that we have to avoid.
Totally. I don't think I could say that better.
I think that was sort of my spiel on PTs and CrossFit. It wasn't exactly where I think, I said at the beginning, I had an immediate reaction and we first brought it up when it was first posed to us. My first reaction was like, well, yeah, it's kind of terrible. This shouldn't be happening. And it's obvious. Isn't it kind of obvious that it's a bad thing? And thinking, I kind of came to the same place of this is a bummer, but for very, very different reasons.
Yeah. Well, and as always, there's context, there's nuance. There's situations where it's great, and there's situations where it is not great and could be a lot better.
100%. And as we said, kind of the quote unquote quality of the CrossFit and the quality of the physical therapist and how those interact and the way they interact and the way they speak about each other, all of that is going to color this.
All of it matters, per usual. Everything is important.
Everything is important, and it depends.
That's right. Should we
Do we
do a
have a
segment?
segment? Yeah, let's do a segment.
I have a segment. I did prepare a segment. Despite my world currently being on fire, I do, in fact, have a segment.
Well,
Are you
I
ready?
was ready to go somewhere else. I don't have a segment prepared, but I know things have been a little chaotic and even busier than usual on your end. So I was absolutely ready to just kind of like take the reins and roll somewhere.
No, I have a segment.
Terrific.
Forbes published a list of wellness ins and outs for 2025. So this is not especially like timely. This would have been in January of this year.
Okay.
And I need you to pick the in.
So was this, I want to be clear. So Forbes published this in January. Was it what was in and out in 2024 or their predictions of what was going to be in and out for 2025?
They are just flat out telling you what is in and what is out for 2025.
Got it. Okay.
And I'm going to
So
give you
want
two
the
options.
ins.
You need to tell me what's in.
Oh, multiple choice. Oh, this is much easier. I was going for the essay version.
No, I'm going to give you two choices, and you're going to tell me what the in is.
Okay. I'm down.
Are you ready?
I believe so.
Hang on. Let's keep score here. Saying yes and energy cleansing.
Oh, God. Ugh. Ugh. I'm tired just thinking about the idea of energy cleansing. I'm hoping that it's saying yes.
You are incorrect.
I was so worried. I was like, oh, it's these grounding assholes, isn't it? Oh, no.
Caffeine in the afternoon or socializing without alcohol.
Oh, the latter. Socializing without alcohol.
That is correct. Play-based exercise or skipping breakfast.
The first one, play-based.
That is correct. Indulging consciously or farm-to-table meals.
Ooh. I think indulging consciously.
That is incorrect.
Oh, really? Farm to table's been around forever. Okay.
Farm-to-table meals was in for 2025.
Hmm.
Journaling instead of therapy
Okay.
or a competitive mindset.
Oh, God. I mean, I hope it's a competitive mindset.
You are incorrect.
Journaling instead of therapy.
Journaling instead of therapy.
Forbes is at its essence an economic magazine, and they knew what was already happening in 2025, so they probably already figured out most people were about to not be able to afford their therapists. So
Right. So we're
I
just going to
kind of
tell you.
understand. Yeah, this is coming. You should start practicing. Got it.
Right. Journaling instead of this thing you can't afford. Sound alarms or staying informed.
Sound alarms or staying informed. Sound alarms, like just noise, just an alarm that makes noise. Is that what a sound alarm is?
Correct. That's correct. An
Well,
alarm
those
that
are
makes sound.
awful. I hate things that make noise, so that can never be good. So I'm going to go with staying informed.
You are incorrect.
What? No.
Sound alarms.
Absolutely.
Sound-based alarms.
If you're alone and you have a sound alarm that goes off, or in spending time in a room with someone you care about and you've agreed that an alarm can go off, that's fine. But if I'm in public and I hear your fucking device make any noise, an alarm, a ringtone, playing music, you on speakerphone, you
Being on a
drop
video call in a waiting room.
so fast. Oh, I hate it. I can't stand it. Fucking monsters. Okay.
Okay. You have two more. That's it.
I'm not doing
And
well.
at this moment, you have two correct. So even if you get the last two correct, you will have a failing grade.
Failing no matter what. But to what degree will I have failed?
Well, we can do the math in a second. Digital detox hours or wearables.
I hope it's digital detox hours.
That is correct.
Phew. All right, I'm on
One
board.
more,
Forbes.
and
You got me.
and I just know that you're gonna really have some thoughts about this one.
Okay.
forest bathing or Ozempic?
God fucking damn it. Because it's definitely an either or.
Yeah.
Well, given the energy cleansing bullshit, I suspect forest bathing is in.
That is, in fact, correct.
Yeah, of course. Great. Because we can't afford therapy, but we're going to go spend a bunch of time
In the wilderness.
Like, spending time in the wilderness is cool, but oh my God.
We don't need to call it forest bathing. You can just go for a walk.
That's all, like, it's such an annoying thing. Like, it's like those stupid grounding assholes who are like, it's nice to walk on the grass barefoot. Yes, it is. It isn't magic. I think we've talked about this. I think we made an episode about this. Like, it's not fucking magic. Don't call it weird things. Don't pretend it has incredibly magical properties. You're not channeling energies or releasing toxins or calling up chakras or connecting with deities, or like, none of that is happening, but it's really nice. Go do it because
it's really nice. It's really nice. And you actually you don't need to justify it further. It can just be nice. You can like it because it's nice. It doesn't need to be like good for your ecosystem. You can just like it.
Exactly. Like, sort of related to something we already said about, like, you can do stuff because it feels good. Like, you don't need all of this crazy shit to justify it. It doesn't have to be magic. It doesn't have to replace medicine. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be in place of something terribly awful or magically transformative. It can just be really pleasant. Like, I have absolutely spent days in the woods near a running river with no cell phone, and it's awesome. But that's what I did. It wasn't a cleansing ritual. It didn't have a brand name. I couldn't spend $2,000 on a course to learn how to do it even better. It's just a nice thing. Just do a nice thing. And to all of you people selling cleansing and grounding, you're monsters who take advantage of people. And I'll leave it at that so I don't make an actionable threat on a recording.
I know somebody who is decidedly not in my referral network, who used to charge people to go on walks. Like, would lead like a donation-based park walk.
Totally.
And listen, I'm all for a walk. I'm all for a group walk. I'm all for an organized group walk. Don't ask me to pay you for that.
No, it's weird. What are we paying for?
It's weird.
Why? Yeah.
Why? If I just show up like adjacent to this and walk nearby to you, I could do that for free. In fact.
Exactly. Actually, if we all showed up and you didn't show up, would it be any different?
No, but it would be free then.
Exactly. Like, if the only difference is then it would cost money, then you are actually bringing no value. Maybe there was value in the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe like if I was in a group that I really loved and they're like, oh yeah, Jason started this 3 years ago. He had a great idea. Like, Jason, that was awesome. Here's $20. Thanks for having a good idea. But I wouldn't keep giving Jason $20. Yeah.
No.
Sometimes I worry that I've come across too angry on training partners.
Well,
most people who know me in life think I'm like nice and gentle and calm and really hard to excite.
I don't think any of those words are words that anybody would use to describe me. So maybe it's my effect on you.
Oh, I see.
This is just our plan to make you worse.
This is it. You're a plant. You're a mole.
There is a twist to that segment. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
Is that everything that was not an in, they actually had listed as an out. So Ozempic, out. Wearables, out. Staying informed, out. Competitive mindset, out. Indulging mindfully, out. Skipping breakfast, out. Caffeine in the afternoon, out. Saying yes, out.
Baffling. I immediately understand the argument around skipping breakfast and caffeine in the afternoon. There's some fine arguments there. Sure. For some people, okay. The rest of it, like, but there's lots of good things about those as a,
Mhm.
and again, like we're asking too much of a, like, basically a best dressed segment, but yeah.
Right. Sure. Yes. You have
But
to
yeah.
pick one over the other and the other's out. It reminded me of an SNL skit where somebody was like ranking things next.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
The people who
Ozempic
get
is out,
that will
huh?
get that.
There's a lot of people who are going to be very surprised to hear that. And
Well, to your point, they likely were reading the writing on the wall of nobody's going to be able to afford this. So we better say it's out.
yeah, a lot of people are probably going to lose their health care because this is the plan. There was today or yesterday, and again, this is time of recording. It was like 6 weeks ago when y'all heard this, but there was an interview at the White House with President Trump. God bless our president. And Mehmet Oz was behind him. And they were asking questions about, there's some negotiations going on with pharmaceutical companies about bringing down the cost of certain things, which is funny because the cost came down and they pulled all those things and the cost went way up. So we're redoing negotiations, whole other discussion. But one of the reporters specifically asked about GLP-1s, Ozempic, Wegovy, things like that. And the president said, "Oh no, those are going to come way down. They were like $1,200. They're going to be like $150 or less for most people. I think that's right." And Mehmet Oz all but hip checked him out of the way to get to the microphone and say, "Those negotiations haven't happened yet. We haven't had those negotiations, but when we do, the president will be super happy with what comes up." And the president is literally standing behind him and be like, "It's going to come down even lower than that. We're going to get it down to like $50. Like, okay, none of this is going to happen. And
None of this is going to happen.
yeah, it's all made up.
Oh, boy. Wow. Dr. Mehmet Oz.
Yeah.
We don't need to do an episode on him because Maintenance Phase did, and it's brilliant. And if you would like to learn more about the origin story of Dr. Mehmet Oz, which I will not give away any more than that,
It's fine.
check out Maintenance Phases.
No, I feel like it's pretty well known. I watched that guy rise up. Yeah, he's a whole thing. I used to live
He's
really
a
near
whole
him.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a. Yeah. I wouldn't do an episode on him. I don't want to talk for an hour about that guy. He's not interesting enough. He's just another grifter. He's just another guy who is like, well, I'm an expert over here, but there's more money in pretending I'm an expert over here. So I'm going to spend my time over here. And yeah, I'm really bummed out that Oprah gave him so much rope.
Yeah.
Also, Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil is also Oprah's fault.
Oh my gosh. My mom had all of the Dr. Phil books.
I mean, he's
This
a down
fucking
homey good
guy.
time, but he's he went way off the reservation and just kept doing the same thing. It's like, oh, well, I'm kind of an expert over here. Dr. Phil's like a pretty tenuous. He's mostly personality, but
Right.
there's a lot of money to be made taking advantage of people over here. So I'm going to reform myself to be a quote unquote expert over here. Hooray!
Right. Hooray!
Hooray!
Yeah. Hooray. Hopefully you don't get any of that ick vibe here. And if you
I would
do,
hope not. Let us know.
oh God,
I'm down for
please
people
let
to
us
say,
know.
like, you said this and it made me feel this way, and that was a bummer. And I'm not going to say, well, you're wrong for feeling that way. Like, I'd be interested to know, especially like,
Yeah.
I could totally see with this episode, like there might be some CrossFitters or CrossFit coaches or people like that who are mad right now. That wasn't the intent. And Weezy and I both have coached thousands of hours of CrossFit. So we get it. We were there. We're no better than you. Also no worse.
Right.
But we're right there. So I'm happy to have the discussion.
Yeah, totally. And let me be clear, I love CrossFit. And I would still be doing it 4 or 5 times a week if that was a thing that my body was like, yeah, we're capable to do that.
Yeah, ditto. It's super fun.
And the only thing I won't entertain as a critique from this episode is CrossFit's for everybody. You just got to let it meet you where you are. Fuck off. CrossFit's not for everybody, in fact.
Yeah, it's not. And that, like, I also won't really entertain that critique because it's inexperienced and uninformed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you can hit us with any other critique, or I mean, honestly, it's a can I say it's a free country?
Yeah.
It's
At
as
time of
free a
recording,
country
it's
as
technically a
at
free
time
country.
of recording. Trump's America is in fact a free country.
It might be worth
Um,
noting, given certain things that are scheduled, this recording happened on October 17th. So things might get weird soon. I don't really know.
Yeah. At time of recording, it's a free country.
Yep.
And you can say whatever you want. And the only thing that I will not entertain and will say go kick rocks is CrossFit's for everybody. Just gotta go into it with a scalable mindset.
Yeah.
No, I need a program with progressive overload is what I need.
Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of gyms that program that way, but there's lots who don't. And the overload might be appropriate for some people, but not for other people, et cetera, et cetera. See earlier premise.
That's right. This has gone kind of off the rails. I feel like we should call it here.
Yeah, we kind of ended it like 10 minutes ago and then just started talking to each other. And we're like, yeah. This is, by the way, this is usually what happens when we end an episode. We're like, that was fun. And we talked about like some stuff and or something like, I was supposed to be somewhere 10 minutes ago. Why are we still talking? I gotta go.
Right.
Yeah.
If people are interested in it, the gym update is more hurry up and wait.
Well, like, just wait now, right? Like, the gym's ready to go, but you're not permitted to have people.
That's correct.
Yeah.
The only things left to do, I mean, they're just so minor in nature. Like, we're going to build a place to sell some stuff up front.
Yeah.
And Ted is putting in a really cool sign, and I've got a couple pieces of art to hang. But, like, fundamentally, I could open tomorrow and be off to the races.
All the stuff you wanted in place for a good client experience to be able to train people exist and are ready to go.
Correct. And the initial review to schedule a walkthrough to get a permit is not until the 12th of November, which is almost a full month from now. So at this point, I'm feeling like it's going to be a miracle if we're open before the end of the year. And that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. City permitting is a whole thing, and it's a real problem. And there's lots of reasons it's a real problem, but it's all of my experiences with it are a huge bummer.
Yeah. So we'll keep you updated, and also it'll be 6 weeks behind. So if you want to be updated in real time, we do both have social media. That's a good place to keep up with what's actually going on in either of our lives, if that's something you're inspired to know.
Yeah, 100%. And generally, like, I do mean it. DMs are open. I talk to people all the time. I'm slightly too online for my own good, and I enjoy it. And I know Weezy does as well. So, it's fine. And I can see the when I record, I can see the waveforms. This is actually, you might like this. This is a funny thing. If you're listening to this part, if we leave it in, it's because we just had another internet glitch and Weezy froze and then went away and then came back. I've learned editing. I used to, I do some very light AI stuff that like normalizes audio levels and a couple of other things before I go in and do it all manually because it's faster. I tried there was an option that was like remove all filler words, and I hate it because it doesn't do a good enough job, and it grabs a lot of things that aren't filler words, like maybe something that wasn't enunciated right, or like what that or I just did would probably be chopped up because is that a word? What is it? But I've learned I can now identify in a waveform your laugh. Because like everybody does, everyone has a way they normally laugh. And AI went in and like muted and cut a bunch of your laughs on some episode. And I was like, I was going through, I was like, da, 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 and I said something, and then it just like cut. I was like, that's weird. That was super funny. Why didn't Weezy laugh? And I went and like ripped apart and undid all the shitty AI editing. I was like, wait a second. It's muting almost all of her laughs. I'm fucking chilling here, buddy, and you're coming against me. So I don't bother with any of that anymore. But I can look along the wavelength and be like, oh, long stretch of silence. This was probably a weird internet glitch. But I can now identify that it goes like, it's like short, big, 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 drops down. I'm like, it's a Weezy laugh. I see it coming.
Right. Oh, that's funny. I have a very distinct laugh, as anybody who listens to the podcast is aware of.
Yeah, ditto.
It used to be more honky in nature, like not like a northerner, but like a goose.
Right.
And I have brought it down a little bit. So what people hear now as my laugh is actually like a normalized version because I got made fun of a whole lot in college. So did bring it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I think something is really, really funny, particularly if I'm at home, I will like honk.
If we actually get you, if it's not performative laughing. Yeah, I like that. We should wrap it up before the internet dies again.
How do I do that again? Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm never listening.
You have edited it 17 times. Fuck. Team, this has been Training Partners. I'm Weezy Shoemaker. That's Justin McClintock. We will see you sometime, unless the United States is not free anymore. We'll see.
Later, gang.
Oh my God.
Training partners, here come your training partners. So smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners. We're ready to shine together.